stoppages you can have around the Guia circuit here, how often a qualifying session becomes just a lottery and whether you've got a lap in or not. So Q1, when the lights go green, should be half an hour. And ideally, we want to see 30 minutes worth of lappery with nobody in trouble, nobody triggering a red flag.
Welcome to the dream. Might not happen that way. It was good to hear Lisa asking the question as well. Do we have, well, succinctly, team orders in place?
Yeah.
Not at this point, no. So Jan and Ted are racing for themselves over the course of qualifying over the next half an hour. Good question to ask, though, when you get to this point in the season. At what point do you start to take instruction about what you can and can't do over the course of this weekend?
Now, bearing in mind, Norbert Mikelic is the championship leader, 10 points ahead of Esteban Guerrieri. So that's Hyundai versus Honda driver. The best Lincoln Co driver, Ted Bjork, third. Jan Ellerche behind him, fourth. There are 4 points between them. Fifth is Mikael Ashkana, and then you've got Santiago Arrutia and Nestor Girolami, who are just about mathematically maybe in with a chance. But there are 15 points on offer for pole position here. The top 6 score points, 15, 10, 8, 6, 4 and 2 in the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour aspect. Just park Asia and China for a minute, because their point system for qualifying is slightly less important, but it's not as generous as the World Tour point system. So, well, first up, you don't want to be slow. You've got to get into Q2, and then you've got to be quick there to make sure you get a big haul of points. And the championship lead could well change come the end of qualifying.
Our previous qualifying session had a rather unusual turn. We had a weather forecast saying that we would have dry weather here at Macau for the afternoon, but spits and spots of rain happened, and it was when maybe everybody was expecting it to be a dry session. So anything can happen. You need to get out now. You need to do what you need to do, and you need to do it early in this half an hour session for Q1. And some of them are reluctant to leave, aren't they? Rob Huff was holding back just a little bit. Windscreen wipers are working. We've seen ponchos coming on in the grandstand. Weather is going to play a part in this, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think it's on the turn again. I think the umbrellas are in greater numbers now. Wet track declared by race control. That's the view down at Lisboa. The last session that we had for local drivers had 2 red flags and was ultimately abandoned to make sure this started on time. So out they all pour. In TCR Asia, that championship is being argued over by Max Hart, who is doing the chasing against Zhang Zhendong. And in TCR China, it's Jason Zhang, who is the championship leader there, from Martin Tsao and then Huang Doyon, who damaged his car yesterday. The driver from Korea ended up with quite a broken Hyundai. But it's going to be the attention on, of course, the drivers within the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour that we'll have to be focusing on. And they are the drivers that are going to be up there arguing over pole position. Rob Huff, as ever, comes to Macau with his great track record around here as a possible race winner. He can't fight for the championship, but he could affect the championship, because his success or otherwise may well take points off those that are pitching for TCR World Tour honours.
And in the meantime, Rob Huff is looking for this historic 10th win at Macau. Like to use the phrase, if anyone can do it, Rob can do it. He is incredibly brave around this circuit. Finished up in free practice yesterday with the changeable conditions, second quickest, didn't he? And he, as we heard, turned up for the last time the cars were out in China, and it was always going to happen that he would appear in a car at some point at Macau, and the deal was done relatively late in the day, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's had another win outside of the Guia race, hasn't he? The year that he drove in, I think it was the China Touring Car Cup.
And I was commentating and I said, and Rob Huff, his 10th win at Macau. And then I got a number of text messages, no, not this one, no.
But a win is a win. It wasn't a Guia win, but it was a race win. Yeah. But we'll have to see how he fares within this first part of qualifying for his chances. He was saying to me yesterday that probably the reverse grid race is his better shot, but we will see. So umbrellas up in the pit lane, teams looking at the data, drivers hustling on, trying to get a banker lap in early, because if the weather is changing, it's changing for the worse, they need to get the time in sooner rather than later. So go for broke on your first lap.
need to put this in the book, don't you? And you can see that it is not easy out there. These conditions, you can see the water on the side of the car as well, can't you? It's yeah, been declared wet, and you can see it's wet. It's going to be very, very tricky. Such a shame, you know, we were getting to a stage that we were getting really dry parts of the circuit around the Guia circuit, the 6.1 kilometres here, but now it's windscreen wipers on, cagoules, and see the spray.
Yeah, that's got really wet really quickly at that part of the circuit.
Really wet, really quickly.
Yeah.
And although it's not touring car related, I'm beginning to think about the end of the day. We've yet to see a motorcycle on the Guia circuit, and it might be that we've still got a wet track at the end of this afternoon. If this continues. That would be very, very disappointing.
Well, it wasn't drying out quickly enough, was it? And this isn't going to help. Right, you're on board with Norbert Mikelish, who is the pioneer at the moment, discovering where all the damp parts of the racetrack are. So the teams look on, but this could well be each driver's best shot. One or two cars coming into the pit lane for a tyre cross. I would not have thought you had the time to do that. You need to just stay out and get a lap time in. It doesn't matter if the tyres aren't absolutely perfect, at least you've got a lap time in.
It's kind of a nicety that you don't need to worry too much about when you've got these changing conditions. The important thing is the circuit, the way it is at the moment. It's not going to get any better, is it? It's only going to get worse.
Absolutely right, but there are people coming in. Largely, I've got to say, the local series drivers rather than the World Tour drivers that have come in to do a tyre cross. We are already with the first 5 minutes done. We're waiting at the end of this lap for a time, and Nestor Girolami has done 2 absolute bests, and Mikhail Ashkina has done 1 absolute best. Mikhail Ashkina 5th in the championship and lugging around 30 kilos worth of compensation weight, the so-called success ballast, if you like. The World Tour having been at Vallelonga to start the season, where Norbert Mikelish and Nestor Girolami took the wins, to Marrakesh, where Jan Erlaché and Marshall Ha were the winners. At Mid-Ohio, it was Ted Bjork and Jan Erlaché. At Interlagos, it was Esteban Guerrieri and Norbert Mikelish. At El Pinar, it was Erlaché and Ted Bjork. And then in China, at the Zhuzhou circuit, Mikhail Ashkina and Mark Qing-Ha victorious there. Right, up to the timing line they come. Norbert Mikelish is going to offer the gun time, and as he breaks the beam, it's a 2:54.098, and then we wait and wait and wait. There's nobody behind him.
So, yep, circulating alone on the track, and that's really good news to get that lap in nice and early. Guerrieri comes through some 2.8 seconds slower than Norby on that lap. Ashkina comes through and some 1 second slower than Mikelic. That may well be a very important lap time for no, Girolami goes quickest, 2:52.027. So Girolami, top of the times, car 129. Nestor goes top.
Yeah, by 2 seconds as the rest come pouring over the line. Marco Butti goes through 7th, Dusan Borkovic 6th, Guerrieri 5th, Santiago Urrutia 4th, Mikhail Ashkina 3rd, Norbert Mikelic 2nd. At this point, though, it's getting into that top 12. Rob Huff has gone through 8th, Jan Erlaché 9th, Jason Zhang 10th, Ted Bjork down to 11th now, and Mark Qing-Ha is 12th. And then that changes again because who's got himself up the order? Lo Si Ho, 9th fastest. It was here 2 years ago. He had a huge accident when he was tipped into a big shunt coming out of Mandarin by Andy Yan, but Lo Si Ho is normally very quick around here, so he could be one to watch. One of the local drivers, like Jason Zhang, threatening the World Tour regulars. Right, on board here, number 186 with Esteban Guerrieri with the GOAT Racing Honda, and because he's let Mikelic go, he's got a clear road ahead of him, but you'll be able to see in a moment where the grip level is and just how treacherous the track is.
And Mikelic is going well. He's got a purple in Sector 2, a purple in Sector 3 as well. Is in Sector 4 at the moment. Currently second quickest with a 2:54.098. And Norbert Mikelic, who claimed the title here at Macau 12 months ago, needs to press on this lap early in the session. The windscreen wipers, you can see, working hard, turns through the tight hairpin at Melco, spreading down through now. The circuit really opens up. not nice, this.
So you come to Macau with the championship on the line, pressure. You come to Macau and it's wet and changeable, extra pressure. Norbert Mikelic, though, rising to the challenge here as he comes up towards the end of the lap through Fisherman's down towards our bend. 30 minutes they have for Q1. And it's about being in that top 12. We've got drama, though, there as 112, rather, which is the Santiago Urrutia. Lincoln Co. has gone up the escape road, down round far away. Paul Ridgway, though, with the spectacles on, the Lincoln Co. engineer, looking at the pictures, looking at the data. And Urrutia now to try to find reverse gear and a gap in the traffic. We do not want the car to sit there. We want it to move for fear of a red flag.
And we've seen the cars able to reverse out of there or roll back onto the circuit and clear that escape road so far today. But Urrutia doesn't look as if it's about to. Ashkana goes quickest, 250, 335, and we've got a red flag. How important is it to put those laps in early in a session? 21 minutes just under of Q1 remain, and unfortunately we need to recover that car, and Urrutia gets rolling now. So after the red flag is shown...
Isn't it always the way?
It's ironic, isn't it? Urrutia is on the move.
So the good news about that is it won't take long to restart the session, hopefully. He'll get back to the pit lane. You can understand, though, perhaps why he was a little bit reluctant to do that under a live situation, because having rolled back, it's taken an awful long time to find a gear and maybe even get the car started. There's a little bit of smoke coming out of the engine bay.
Or steam.
Yeah, which might be something to do with why it ended up at the escape road in the first place, but it's not for starting, is it?
No, it's got back on the track, so good news that Urrutia did not roll back out of that escape road when the circuit was live.
But he's now going to cause a traffic jam unless he can start that, and the danger is as everybody else has to queue up behind him, their cars might overheat or stall, and then we're in for a longer stoppage.
So door open, driver out.
Road blocked. So they're going to end up now with a complete traffic jam whilst Urrutia's car is pushed out of the way. It's all hands to the pump to try and move that and let everybody else through at least.
So I think they're indicating turn left and we can get this car out of the way, take the cork out of the bottle, everybody else can thread their way through, and good work by the marshals to indicate that's what was needed, so we can let everybody else come back to pit lane and minimise the delay to get things back underway, and then worry about Urrutia's car.
But is the fact that it wouldn't start cause or effect of going up the escape road? You know, is that just a coincidence? Did he make a mistake, or was there a problem and therefore he had to get up the escape road? Well, either way, red flag.
What are they doing with tyres?
Let's have another look at this. The car comes up towards us, and it's slow anyway at that point, suggesting there was a problem. And Urrutia thinks, I'm not going to go anywhere else. I need to get the escape road and park. So yeah, in fairness, it wasn't a mistake. It looks like a mechanical problem.
Saw that steam already, didn't we, on the right-hand side of the car, at the right front. Now, I've just been noticing them working on tyre changes down in pit lane. Marcin Poir's car is the car we're looking at the moment, the 155 car down in pit lane. But dealing with really tricky conditions, aren't they, this weekend? Unpredictable conditions as well.
But that's one, I think, for Lisa to try to investigate, isn't it? What news, if any, of Urrutia's mechanical dramas. He is 6th in the championship. He's very much an outsider, although mathematically there's a chance, but he's out of qualifying, the car put behind the barrier. 5th, though, he was. So Santiago Urrutia, 5th quickest, notionally, could progress from there if he stays in the top 12, if the car is willing.
Urrutia's car now out of the way, so tucked neatly out of the way. The marshal's doing a good job, and Urrutia out of the car as well. And as we look down in pit lane, you can hear the air guns, the wheel guns working away on tyre changes, which you can only imagine is to make sure they've got wet tyres on.
So Norbert Mikelic making his way down the pit lane. Ted Bjork for Lincoln Co. coming in as well, 3rd in the championship. And Ted Bjork, who's got 2 race wins to his name this season, talking to the team on the radio and explaining how the car feels, what he thinks they ought to be doing.
No, obviously we've just had a red flag. We saw Santi Urrutia's car just stop. I did speak to the mechanic in pit lane and he just said the engine stopped, and that's all the information I got from him. But let's see if we can grab a few words from team manager Frederick Varland. Maybe he can elaborate on that a little bit more. Frederick, sorry, just a few questions about Santi. What actually happened, do you think, with his car then?
He reported some technical issues on the car and it just stopped. And since we don't have any data, we don't really know. Unfortunately, it's a technical issue. So it was not him doing anything. There's something wrong with the car and we have no way of getting it back, so.
Okay, all right, best of luck. Hopefully you get things sorted there. Okay, thank you. Back to commentary.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. So, emphasising what we kind of reached, I think, wasn't it? It was a mechanical problem. You'd seen the car slow up the hill. He went for the escape road to get out of the way, but whether or not the car could have restarted or not doesn't really matter. It couldn't have been left up the escape road because then there's no room for anybody else to escape. So it did need retrieving, and that means that with just about a third of Q1 gone, red flag.
It's going to damage the weekend, isn't it, Santiago?
Possibly. If it were to get wetter again now, the worst he could be is 12.
Yeah, that's true. And we've got an estimated session resumption time of 11 minutes past. That's a minute and a half away. What are they doing as far as tyres? That's brand new slick tyres going on Ashkan's car. So, what's the slick tyre? Yeah. So,
Well, I thought it was wet.
oh,
Slicks are coming.
slicks are coming.
That's got grooves in it,
It's
hasn't
got
it?
grooves in it. Yeah.
For Norbert Mikelish. I don't think it's quite good enough for slicks yet. There are still puddles on the
Nor
road.
do I. And I wondered about the cars that have gone out, if any went out on slicks, changing onto wets, because you saw the spray. It's really tricky out there. So Mikelic was on wets, second quickest. Ashkana, top of the times, with a 2:50.335.
Nestor Girolami there third currently, getting set to go back out.
Treading tyres.
Yeah. And currently, number 28, which is Lo Si Ho, is the fastest in TCR China. And who is the quickest out of TCR Asia at the moment? Have to go quite a long way down the order. Max Hart fighting for that championship, the Irish driver, but not yet really making an impact in the overall order. Green flag waved.
Made a great impact last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
Here at Macau. Drove exceptionally well and won a race here in the touring car category over a 2-weekend meeting here at Macau, celebrating 70 years of the Macau Grand Prix. Max acquitted himself very nicely. Good to see him back here at Macau.
Yeah, last year, those out of TCR Asia that did well in the first weekend were invited back, weren't they, to be included in the World Tour grid for the second weekend. The World Tour in its second season, but it's first as an FIA championship. And the cars, they're now back out on track. TCR Asia, it is Zhang Zhendong who is currently the fastest, yes, number 18, 7th overall. So that's the unofficial pole within TCR Asia. And Zhang Zhendong is the championship leader, 4 times a winner. Max Hart's had 2 wins, and perversely, because he had a better weekend last time out, Max Hart carries more compensation weight, an extra 10 kilos loaded onto his car than his championship rival.
So they thread their way back onto a tricky circuit, tricky conditions, even on this outlap down at Lisboa. And with ever-changing conditions over the course of this weekend so far. When we got this session underway, it's warm, ambient temperature 25 degrees, track temperature 30, and 95% humidity as the stats when we got the session underway. 19 minutes of this session remain. Ashkana, Mikelic, Girolami, Bjork, Urrutia, who is out of this session now, and Guerreri, the top 6. What of those got, sorry, David, yeah.
Only that Ted Bjork straight away, absolute best, 3rd sector. So drivers leaving nothing on the table right now. Ted Bjork is at the head of this little Lincoln Co queue, but making his way now towards the end of an outlap and knowing that he's got to push, push, push.
And for those following the Macau story of Rob Huff, so far 10th in this qualifying session for the 9-time Macau Guia race winner.
Yeah, one of the quirks is that the reverse grid race, because that's the second race, is the one that goes for the gear tag. Whereas, if you like, the pure race comes from the grid after qualifying, which is the Saturday race, which for Macau purposes is the qualifying race. Anyway, the Lincoln Cup goes through that right-hander. Ted, who first came to prominence as a sports car driver many years ago in the FIA Sports Racing Series with Larry Oberto. And now very much a touring car champion, touring car star. So he's the man to watch on this first flying lap after the red flag. And he's getting away from everybody else. So he's got the road to himself. Mikkel Ashkana, though, goes even quicker within the first sector. So Ashkana, absolute best sector 1. Bjork, absolute best in sector 2 now.
So Bjork goes purple in sector 2, Ashkana purple in sectors 1 and 2 now. So already top of the times is Mikkel Ashkana with a best lap of 2:53.35 and on target to go even quicker. Butty went overall quickest in the first sector on that lap, and Girolami now goes quicker in sector 2. They've got to make these laps early on in this session. There is no real definite indication on what the weather is going to do over the course of this qualifying session. 16 minutes remain. Boy, is it tight as the Lincoln Co's thread their way around. Ted Bjork just in front of Jan Elache. And Ashkana goes purple in sector 3. Overall best for Ashkana in sector 3.
Yeah, it's going to be Ted Bjork, isn't it? The 2017 world champion that will offer you the target time. But then those behind, I think, are going to go quicker still. Ted Bjork coming then through the Macau hairpin. He's only got 10 kilos of compensation weight on that car. Mikkel Ashkana, though, has got 30. And he is also doing purple sectors, and we've got another absolute best ever so briefly by Ma Xinhua, number 155 Lincoln Co, which is the second of these. Ma Xinhua sitting on the tail, sitting on the shoulder virtually of Ted Bjork, coming out of Fisherman's Bend. The Lincoln Co Brains Trust see Ted Bjork bail and let Ma Xinhua go ahead of him. So number 155 Ma Xinhua is going to go for a time, and in fact Ted Bjork, despite what looked like an impressive lap, is going to go for the pit lane. Looks a little bit brighter now coming out of our bend up towards the line, and Ma Xinhua goes fastest briefly on a 2:46, but Mikkel Ashkana absolutely blitzes that 4.7 seconds quicker to do a 2 minutes 41. So he knocks everything else out of the park, does Mikkel Ashkana, to go to the top. And Nestor Girolami goes second, 0.8 of a second back. What about Rob Huff, first flying lap? Goes fourth quickest, 2 minutes 46.867.
That states intent, doesn't it, for Ashkana, 2:41.705. We said how important it will be to go quickly early on in this session, because we don't know what's going to happen. You never do at Macau, when the weather is changeable, even more so, even more important. Get those laps in the bank nice and early. 2:41.705. Mikkel Ashkana has done exactly that. Girolami second, a 2:42.507, and has just gone purple in sector 1.
Okay, so the Honda looking good as drama at the Macau hairpin. One or two of the local drivers tripping over themselves and each other, but I think they're going to sort themselves out, and we should be good to keep the road clear. The Hyundais there, the Elantras getting themselves together.
Ma Xinhua has gone purple in sector 2.
Yeah, he was good on that previous lap, wasn't he?
Yeah,
but
really good.
Now you've got up to third fastest, Rainy He, who is the fastest out of TCR China, ahead of Andy Yan. Marco Butti has done an absolute best. I think this is all down to the fact that the road is drying and Bjork's rolling the dice. Need to go slicks. Yeah,
so we wondered when Ted came into pit lane what was going to happen. We know now. Slick tyres, dry tyres going on Ted Bjork's car. Currently down in pit lane, about to be turned round. So too for Guerreri. So tyre changes happening down in pit lane. This is a rather frantic half an hour, isn't it?
It's good, this 30 minutes to go, and really you're going to lose another 3 with an outlap. So Ted Bjork may have done the right thing by going to put those tyres on early. Marco Butti is lighting up the timing screen as well. You're riding with Ted Bjork as he rejoins the road. So the very rapid Swedish driver back on track in the Lincoln Co. Another absolute best from Nestor Girolami. and it's a slower lap by Mikkel Ashken at this time, making me think that he's going to head for the pit lane.
I think you may well be right. It's a busy pit lane at the moment with tyre changes happening, threading around the Macau hairpin, avoiding those barriers on the exits of the corner, then the green flashing light out of the yellow flag zone, which reigns throughout the 4 days of the Macau Grand Prix. Girolami has gone purple in sectors 3 and 4. And Marcin Hua goes top. 2:40.811. Marcin Hua, top of the times, car 155. Great lap.
But is it going to stay there? Because as you rightly say, Girolami looks really good and he goes quickest now. 2:38.221, 2.5 seconds quicker. 2.5 seconds quicker than anybody else. Mikkel Ashken is indeed down the pit lane. The other one to watch is going to be the GOAT Racing Honda of Marco Butti. Butti is on a roll at the moment, and he's done 2 absolutes and 2 personal bests. So using his loaf here, knowing when to put the right tyres on is Marco Butti, as he will head towards the timing line. So it's Girolami from Ashkener. Norbert Mikelish is into the pit lane as well. Girolami down to Lisboa, and we're waiting still for Marco Butti to come through. Rainy Hurt is up to 5th. Marco Butti goes 2nd, misses out from pole, or the top time at least, by 0.7 of a second. But it's Girolami from Butti from Ashkener 4th, Rainy Hurt is 5th, and Jason Zhang is 6th.
Into the last third in a moment, because we've got 11 minutes remaining on the clock, just over, and this is a fascinating session. The weather has really played a part in the 2 days so far, and with 5 wheel nuts on each of the 4 corners of the cars, tyre changes take a little while. Off come the wets, on go the dries for the reigning champion, for Norbert Mikkelitz, who is at the moment down the order as the conditions get better and better. Norby is down there in 15th place at the moment, going through the tyre change.
And everybody within the entry is eligible for the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. So even if you're not a regular, that doesn't mean that you are ignored for the purposes of points or the purposes of the next part of qualifying. So it's all in as far as the World Tour part of this is concerned. Now there is Ted Björk. Remember, he is a lap ahead of everybody else in terms of the slick tyres and getting them up to temperature. At Volcano Motorsport, that is Rob Huff's car with the bonnet up. And 10 more minutes remain. Huff at the moment is 13th. Right, so this is Björk, and he's on a mission. He is onto a flying lap now. He's got the tyres a little bit warmer. Others look in the background have just left the pit lane and are weaving around to generate the warmth. Ashkener has rejoined. Mikelish has rejoined. Huff now on his way out of the pit lane too. It's going to be a real scramble, isn't it, for just over 9.5 minutes on a circuit that is drying, but there are still damp patches, and it can catch you out. Look, there, coming under the Pirelli banner, you've got another puddle, another damp section, so the drivers have got to be so careful here.
You need to, really keep it neat and tidy through this twisty and very close section of the circuit, threading up, threading down, left, right, through the Solitude S's on towards ultimately the Macau hairpin, where the circuit after the hairpin opens up, and Ted Björk is going to be the first really glimpse into what the dry tyres are going to be able to do here. And there's traffic, and there's unfortunately a car stranded in a very peculiar place at the Macau hairpin as well. Yeah,
I wonder whether that's a spin or it's been a tag that's turned the car around. I think that is Mansu Ming's Evolve Racing Honda Civic that we had up the Escape Road yesterday. There's another incident between Gary Kwok and Dusan Borkovic that's going to be looked at after the session. But right now, some drivers not even prepared to try to go around the outside, and if the road remains like that, it's going to be another red flag. 8.5 minutes on the clock, and it's another red flag. Ted Björk is going to have this really good lap spoiled, because here, look at the Macau hairpin. We have got a car park, and the second red flag flies. And guess what? Now the road opens up a little bit. So Ted Björk turns through the hairpin, but the red flag's already been called for, and so yet again they will come to the pit lane. And from your 8.5 minutes, take 3 out for your out lap, roundabout. 5 minutes of competitive mileage.
It has been exciting enough already, and now with the prospect of just 8.5 minutes remaining on the clock for this Q1.
So let's have a look. It's a big slide. Oh, it's Lo Se-Ho's car. It's gone around. That Evolve Racing entry. And he just got it wrong, and round came the back. So evidence that even though people have gone for slicked, it's still greasy and it can still catch you out. So Lo Se-Ho is the one that went around.
You've got to be absolutely on the dry line, haven't you? You can't afford to put even 2 wheels off on the wet part of the circuit. With 95% humidity, it has been a difficult job to drive the circuit. And with touring cars out, 4 wheels, they can negotiate the challenging conditions that we've had over the day and a half so far here at Macau. But I'm still with a thought to the end of the day as well, and whether we get a dry circuit in time for the end of the day when motorcycles are due to go on circuit for the first time. At the moment, it's all about touring cars and getting them back to pit lane. Motorcycles have yet to turn a wheel in 2024.
And 1 or 2 drivers out of their cars even, so pondering whether or not it's going to be worth going out again. So big frustration. And Lo Se-Ho's car, again, strangely, doesn't want to fire up, does it? I wonder whether that was something mechanical that seized that caused the car to get away from him, because
it's on a weird line on the approach, wasn't it?
But in fairness to Lo Se-Ho, he is a very quick driver and he knows his way around here. So I'm surprised that it was him, for example, that was caught out under those circumstances.
The incredibly impressive lifting equipment that proliferates around the gears circuit here at Macau, and we should be able to get the car recovered and out of the way fairly quickly, but the damage already done. And guess what, everybody? We've got sunshine again here at Macau. That's a much more usual picture than we have from the commentary box at Macau.
So I just found Santi Urrutia in pit lane. Obviously, we saw him retire from the qualifying session a few moments ago. Let's just see actually what happened from his seat. Santi, just a few moments. Sorry to interrupt there. Obviously, we saw you retire from the session. What actually happened?
I think I got an electrical failure. I don't know, just the dash went blind and then I couldn't run the car. It's racing, it is what it is. I feel shame for the team. You know, I was having a good pace, P3, just taking it easy. Now I hope my teammates can get inside the top 10, you know, for Q2. But yeah, sometimes goes like this, so nothing I can do. I'm very sad for the team, but looking forward to my teammates, so I hope they can collect good points.
Absolutely, these things happen, of course, that's racing, but you guys, you're obviously going for the team championship this weekend. I guess the pressure is really on tomorrow for the race.
Yeah, I mean, in this situation, you know, we are professional drivers, so this is the time we need to deliver under pressure. Macau is not easy, you know. It was very difficult at the beginning. Everyone was trying to get it easy, but at the same time you need to push, you know. So now, you know, for them it's a bit more pressure because they're driving as well for the Drivers' Championship, apart from the Team Championship. But they are one of the best drivers in the world, so they will do it.
Thanks, Santi. Unlucky for today. Thank you. Back to commentary.
Thanks, Lisa. Good to hear from Santi down in pit lane, and explains that. So an electrical problem led to the session coming to an end for Urrutia.
And he's now been dumped out of that top 12, so he can't benefit from the reverse grid.
Yep.
It's the top 10 that are reverse, it's the top 12 that go through, but he won't be able to benefit from the reverse grid race because he'll be out of that zone, as it were. And we've got 8 minutes and 27 seconds on the clock when we get back underway. You're sitting on board with Ted Bjork at the moment.
He was in the zone, wasn't he? And unfortunately, he scuppered the first to go onto the dry tyres.
Lisa?
No, I'm still in pit lane, and I really want to speak to Gabriele Tarquini, team manager BRC Hyundai, just because the championship leader, Norby, hasn't set a fastest lap yet. Not the best news at this stage of the game. Gabriele, he's a little bit busy. I think we're going to be restarting in about 50 seconds, so I'll just, if I can, grab a few words with one of the Gabrieles. Gabriele, sorry, I know this is tense moments for you and the team. Obviously, Norby hasn't set a fast lap yet. It's difficult moments at the moment.
Yeah, especially because we had this rain in the beginning, so we tried different solutions on tires, and now it's completely dry. We hope to score a lap.
Best of luck for the rest of the session. Thanks for talking to us, Gabriele. Okay, back to commentary.
Right, here we go again then. So take 3, 8.5 minutes are on the clock, just about, and we are going to have the green flag shown in about 45 seconds time. And a Mexican or a Lisboan wave has started.
That's impressive, isn't it? It's only Friday.
Yes.
We've got a couple of days to build on that over the course of the 71st Macau Grand Prix. And spirits are high in the grandstands. Interesting that Gabriele Tarquini said completely dry. That's from a racing driver's point of view. We look on and think it's not dry. He's probably thinking about the dry line around the circuit.
Yeah. Esteban Guerrieri set to go, and 3 seconds, 2 seconds before we get that green light at the end of the pit road, and the car's now released back on track. There are quite a few drivers here who are going to need to dig deep. Matt Hart, by the way, into the top 10, but under investigation for overtaking under a red flag. And Lo Se-ho and Santiago Urrutia, best lap deleted for causing the red flag. Or flag, sir. But their lap time's taken from them. So Lo Se-ho currently 9th, so he's going to drop. That might be to the benefit of others. Right, the surviving Link and Coes together at the head of the queue, coming down towards Lisboa now.
So just under 8 minutes of this first segment of qualifying 1 for the Macau Guia race, the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour events of Macau underway. Let's see if we can run this final section of Q1 without interruption. Heat in tyres is the order of the day. Teammates are going to be working together to just get the cars up to temperature on this outlap from pit lane. What's going to happen in the next 7 minutes? More so, oh dear. I'll tell you what's going to happen. Shoshin Jur in the Honda Civic is going to have a problem down at Lisboa. It can get going again, that's good news. So it's not dry everywhere, is it? It's very easy to be over impetuous when leaving the pit lane when you know you've got a limited amount of time, and I think that's what happened there.
But isn't it fascinating to watch how different people treat all of this? So it was Martin Shee, wasn't it, we were talking about, and there he is, just straight on. And it's easy to sit and judge, but as we've seen it more really from the onboard with the single-seaters. You sit low in a racing car and those barriers are pretty high and you can't see the corner until you're on top of it, and then you've got to turn right. So judging it and even overtaking into that corner, not easy. Another one up the escape road. This time it is Man Siu Ming. I was wrong in saying he was off at Melco, but I'm right in saying he's gone straight on at Lisboa, and not for the first time.
Threading their way around the Melco hairpin and down to complete the lap, the outlap from pit lane, and get the first flying lap of this resumed session. We've had 2 stoppages in this half an hour. Gabriele Tarquini has been coming here to Macau for many years, as a driver. He's seen it all before. He knows what it is to plan these sessions and plan to get a lap in as soon as you possibly can. And that is what Ted Bjork is about to try and do.
Yeah, Gabriele Tarquini overseeing the Hyundai assault, and as he made the point yesterday to Lisa Leyland, although it's a bit of a surprise to hear it, he never won a race here. He won titles at Macau, but never individual races. Right, Ted Bjork on a mission, and the road is now going to dry pretty quickly, I think, because Alan is right. Finally, the sky is breaking, the sun is being able to get through, and it won't be long if it carries on in that vein without further cloud cover that those puddles, those damp patches disappear. Bjork down to Lisboa, turns in, powers out the other side. He's got Erache, amongst others, chasing after him, but the climb up San Francisco Hill, a steep climb up San Francisco Hill as well.
It is, and Ted Bjork was on course to be the first of those to set a time on dry tyres. Now is able to press on, and with nothing in front as he threads the car through that twisty section. Engineers looking on. Paul Ridgway for the first time down in pit lane, they're having to shield from the sunshine to see the laptops.
Paul Ridgway studying what time his Greenland ride is. Marco Butti, absolute best in the first sector now, the Italian driver who was the on-the-road winner of the touring car race at the FIA Motorsport Games, and then ended up being excluded for putting the anti-lag on during the race, so he lost the win. Mikko Räikkönen, though, absolute best middle sector. Jan Erlaché, absolute best third sector. So these final 4 minutes are going to really be coming alive, aren't they now? And pretty much every car coming over the line is going to shuffle the order. At this point, remember, it's being in the top 12 that matters. It's nice to be the quickest, but as long as you're in the 12 to progress, that's the important part about it.
Just outside the top 12 is Rob Huff, 9-time winner here at Macau. Just outside the top 12, Marcin Khoa goes overall best in Sector 3. This is going to be fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
3.5 minutes to go.
Right, Björk on a mission. Ted Björk at the moment is not only not in that top 12, he's not even in the top 16. So let's see what he can do as down towards the end of the lap, Marcin Khoa coming towards the end of Sector 5, just like Ted Björk, trying to stay in that top 12, or in Björk's case, get into the top 12. Jan Erlaché also knocking on the door of it. Here is Björk down now towards the right-hander of our bend, up towards the line, and this ought to put him into the mix as he breaks the beam, and he goes fastest, 2:32.3. Erlaché now goes quickest of all as he comes over the line, and Marcin Khoa goes quickest as he comes over the line. So we're into the 31s now, 2:31.7, and it's just over 1/10 of a second splitting the top two. Marcin Khoa from Jan Erlaché.
With the sunshine coming out, this is electrifying. The final 3 minutes of Q1 for the Macau Guia race and the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour event of Macau, and a car once again stricken up at the hairpin.
But I think being able to get itself moving again as Norbert Mikelish then goes through. He was 5th fastest at the end of that previous lap, 1.7 seconds away from the top spot. But again, it is being in that top 12 at the moment to go through into Q2 that we're focusing on. Marcin Khoa then from Jan Erlaché and Ted Björk. Marco Butti is 4th, Mikko Räikkönen 5th, Dusan Vukovic 6th. Then it's Mikelish, Guerrier, Girolami, Zhang Zhendong, Martin Tsao and David Zhu. They are the 12. Correction, John Filippi gets up to 11th now in the Volcano Audi, and Rob Huff was 12th, but he's been elbowed back to 13th, to 14th, to 15th, because others like Andy Yan and Zhang Zhendong go quicker.
I was about to say, Huffy, where are you? He wasn't on our first screen, which goes down to 16th place, currently occupied by an Irish driver, Max Hart, and Rob Huff, 16th and 15th place respectively. So come on, the two of you, into the top 12 is what's required. 1.5 minutes to do it.
So Marco Butti, absolute best sector 1, Jan Erlaché, absolute best sector 2. Comes from good racing stock, of course, Jan Erlaché, because his uncle is Ivan Muller, his mum, Kathy Muller, a very good Formula 3 racer many, many years ago. The next one up the escape road at Lisboa is, as you can see there, number 9, that is David Zhu, and he is 11th fastest, so that means he can progress, but if he stops there and causes a red, he'll lose his lap time, so he's got to try and get that car moving and keep the engine running. It's going to be a to and fro job, but he's up the escape road. Please keep it moving. We don't need another red flag with a minute on the clock. It's going to... Red flag, it's happened. Another red, and that's the reason there's a very, very broken car sitting against the wall of Wu Yifan, and that's at San Francisco Hill. He's had a real moment there, and the teams, I can almost hear the groan from the pit lane as they see all of that. There are bits everywhere. He's had a good go at the barrier. He's taken the conveyor down as well, hasn't he, the belting, and that's a very broken car. Most of the damage on the left front corner, but with a minute to go, that's the end of Q1 effectively, because even if it were resumed, you get the checkered flag at the end of the outlap.
And a few are going to suffer, aren't they, because they are not within the top 12 with just 1 minute and 1 second yet to go. A very damaged car brings out our 3rd red flag in half an hour for the Macau Guia race and the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour events of Macau. There are going to be a few frustrated drivers.
Yes, best lap time deleted for causing a red flag there for Wu Yifan. That's the least of his worries, because he might find himself being lynched by some, because as you rightly say, there are some big names the wrong side of the top 12 there. Oh, what a shame though. In fairness, it was not the car at the escape road, it was this incident. Have a look at the top of the screen, because coming through San Francisco in a moment, we'll get the incident, and he's just completely wrong, slides out of the corner, almost as though something else had happened earlier on, but there's nobody else around him to have made contact. So whatever happened for Wei Fan, it was a very strange line, and he's ended up in the barrier on the outside of the road.
Drifted into the barrier. A lot of that debris that we saw on circuit was from the barrier itself, not so much from the car.
I just wonder whether he tried to go for the apex and actually clip the barrier on the inside, and that fired him to the outside.
Yeah, very possibly.
Otherwise, it's a rather odd one. Right, a minute remaining of Q1. The session will not be resumed. And there is Wei Fan's car being hoiked out of the way.
Doesn't take long to remove the car. Might take a little bit longer to rectify that barrier down there. There's enough marshals on duty overseeing the removal of the car, and will be actively involved in the rebuilding of the barrier as well. Getting ready for 15 minutes this time. 15 minutes for Q2. And we have our top 12. We've got our names. They appear on the timing screen. Intake of breath. Preparation of cars with tyres.